a lot of people, especially, I've had that not just in the West, in the Middle East as well, where I grew up, everybody tells you, like, no, hijab doesn't hinder women's progress. It's actually, like, it empowers them. But it's not, that was never the case for me, and I never saw it that way. Because when you wear hijab, hijab is not just a cloth. The modesty and doctrine that comes with it is applied once you wear it. So one of the things that I couldn't do as a 9-year-old, as a child, like I couldn't do cartwheels, I couldn't go play with my friends, I couldn't just run around because then your hijab might fall off, your pants might like go up a little and your legs could show. So all of those things, like it really was very toxic to me, and it made me feel like a lot of my childhood was taken away from me. It made me a little angry, but years later it's got better. Another thing that I really hate about hijab is that it imposes this modesty culture that is extremely toxic. Whereas if you are a woman and you're walking down the street and somebody harasses you, now that's your fault because you're not wearing modest clothing, you're not wearing hijab, and so hijab is supposed to protect you from all of this. And the more you talk about, especially fundamental Muslims, they love to say that hijab protects women from outside people staring at them and harassing them and trying to rape them, which again is putting this all the blame on the victim herself instead of on the people that are doing this crime, that are perpetrating this crime. And that to me is like they're making rape culture thrive, and that is completely unacceptable to me. Another thing is that men aren't allowed to wear hijab, but women are. They're made to wear hijab, which again is an inequality in my opinion, and it didn't sit well with me, especially during the hot summer months. I have to be covered up, long sleeves, and the clothes have to be not sheer. The hijab has to cover certain areas, whereas my brothers and my father, they're walking around in shorts and t-shirts and enjoying life. They go into the pools, and whereas the women don't have that the capacity to do that. And a lot of what I've heard from Muslims, at least here in the West, you don't hear that a lot in the Middle East, is that hijab is a choice. You don't have to wear it. You can still be Muslim and not wear, which is true. You can still be Muslim and do all sorts of sins, but in order to be, hijab is considered a wajib, which is mandatory. It's a compulsory thing for Muslim women in order for you to be the most pious, wear hijab, and because when you don't wear hijab, that's a sin. I've seen, I hate talking about this, but I wanted to just touch upon it a little. It's, especially these days, in the past, I've noticed this a lot in the past three years, not even 5 years since I've come to the United States, but there was a lot of trying to normalize hijab in Western culture. And I'm not trying to say that it's a bad thing, it's not. But trying to make it look like, yes, this is what the Muslim woman should look like, it also demonizes Muslim women that decide not to wear it. Now, they are looked down on because they're not representing their societies or their communities. And another thing, and I think Sarah also touched upon this in one of her talks, or when she was, I remember when she was in Belmar, this is an actual, hijab is a fundamentalist doctrine. It is not a Muslim that is a little more liberal doesn't wear hijab, because it hinders their whatever they want to do. It stops people from I don't know how to explain this in a way. It seems to me like a fundamental regression. It's not something progressive. And I've seen, especially in the past year, they're trying so hard to make it look like hijab is some kind of progress. This is the liberal way of expressing yourself. And hey, if hijab if that's what it is for you, that's great. But that's not how it is for a lot of women in my country. That little girls in middle school have to cover their faces. So that's not exactly something that, in my opinion, should be celebrated.